Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. My name's William. This is a Set of Corsa Competizione, and today we're going to be doing a lap around the Hungaroring and the Audi R8 GT3. And I have a hot lap for you, and then the setup that I made to set it, as well as talking through the setup with some pointers, tips, adjustments, whatever, to maybe make it a little bit more suitable to you and your driving style if you don't like it exactly the way I had it set up. Um, as always with these guys, if you have any kind of feedback for the setup, feel free to put it in the comments below. I try and read all the comments and reply to the ones I can. So definitely put it there. And this is going to be our next track. We're going to be doing 4 cars for this track. Um, so the Ferrari, the Aston, and the Bentley will be coming as well for this. And hopefully by the end of these cars, I will actually know how to drive this track because the big disclaimer is I am a massive noob around the Hungaroring and will be learning it as I go, essentially. So uh, I hope you guys all enjoy this. I appreciate all the support from each and every one of you. I'm going to shut up now, get onto the hot lap, and I'll be back with you to talk over the setup. Enjoy. Okay guys, that was a hot lap around the Hungaroring in the Audi R8 GT3. Managed a 144.388. I am still definitely learning this track in these cars. My experience of this track before ACC was just watching F1 race around here. So that kind of gives you an idea of how abysmal I was whenever I first came here, and still learning. Haven't turned a whole lot of laps here in ACC, but we can look at the lap time here: 144.388. Purple in the first 2 sectors, and then just barely off in the last sector. Did a lot more than 17 laps. A lot of restarts because of this middle sector. This, I am so glad I finally got this down below a 38. It was very awkward and very difficult for me to actually put some of those corners together. I'd just take too much on the first corner, and then there's a lot of corners you got to sacrifice a little bit to set up the exit, which is like of the following corner, which is the most important. I was really struggling with that, and just getting the timing wrong. So overall, happy with that. Still a lot of room for an improvement in learning this track, I think. But the setup is what we're after. So we started with the aggressive preset, as almost always do, and came up with this. So we balanced the tire pressures front and rear for 28 psi. Hot is what we were looking for. Decrease the rear toe. I tried, I ran it basically at the default value, which I think was a tenth of a degree higher, and eventually just wound up reducing it. I wasn't getting anything out of it. In fact, I felt like it was triggering traction control and kind of just generally messing with my corner exits more um, than it was helping. Increase the toe on the front really helped in the slow speed corners. There's a lot of like the 180-degree switchbacks around here. Um, it was just really helping the nose kind of bite in those. At least that's what I was feeling. And then increase the camber all the way around as well. I ran the TC on 2, ABS on 2, and the ECU map on 1 for that lap. My brake pad compound was 2 and 2 for the front and rear. Suspension increased the front anti-roll bar for stability on turn-in of the corner. It does kind of make the car push a little bit in the medium to, well, I guess the higher speed corners around this track. So if you're struggling with that, you can try and decrease the anti-roll bar back to 2. Lowered the brake bias all the way down to 62.8. It's generally where I like running it in this car. I think 64% is where it starts, and that's just way too far to the front for me. So I know I could go a little bit further back as well. I could probably get this closer to 62%, but 62.8 to around 62.4 is generally where I'm going to run it personally. So that's where I wound up. Increase the wheel rate on the front, once again, just trying to control the nose of the car and turn in. It's one of those things, like it just felt better to me. I couldn't really get away with stiffening the rear of the car. I felt like it was just, it would have been better for the the higher speed corners around this track, but there's so many slow speed corner exits that I was already having a hard enough time really getting the power down out of the corners. So I kept that where it is. I did decrease the anti-roll bar on the rear by 1 to kind of help control the oversteer on the corner exit. And I also reduced the preload on the diff. That was mostly for rotation, actually, in the middle of the corner. It was at 100 Newton meters, I believe, before, and it just felt really tight in the middle of the corner. And then I'm sure it was also aiding with the oversteer on the corner exit. Onto the dampers, basically just big changes in the fast bump and fast rebound, front and rear. Everything else is just kind of to balance the car per usual, but the fast bump and fast rebound are particularly for the curbs that you have to attack around this track. So softer on the fast bump, so it can really absorb just clobbering the curb, and then it's probably a little too aggressive on the fast rebound to keep it from bouncing around afterwards, like especially in the front. I think I went a little too aggressive with this. You could probably cut this number down, because right now it feels like it's just body slamming into the track after you're coming down from one of those curbs. But you don't want it to get to the point to where it's oscillating up and down and up and down after you smash one of those curbs. And like the car was already kind of bouncy on the aggressive preset, and you couldn't really attack those curbs, in my opinion. It just felt like you were hitting a brick wall, kind of. So you can at least attack them now, in my opinion, and it is a little aggressive on the set down, but it doesn't feel like it oscillates too much. So basically, I would say try and reduce the fast, if you're not happy with it, try and reduce the fast rebound up until the point the car starts kind of pogoing after you hit one of those curbs. And still, some of the curbs, they're if you hit them wrong, it's gonna go bad. So don't take this as it's a monster truck now and you can just drive over whatever you want. But I think most people kind of understand that. And then onto the aero, increase the front ride height again, just trying to give a little bit more clearance for the curbs that just are basically the apexes of some of these corners. And then increase the rear ride height as well, 65 millimeters. This was the big change. Five wing, I would definitely run five wing. I don't see any reason not to run five wing around here. It was about a second a lap difference for me. Maybe if you're like really comfortable around here and you can manage a kind of really edgy car, four wing, but this track seems to absolutely love downforce. So five wing all the way. If you are getting some of that understeer or lack of rotation in um, high speed corners around this track, um, just increase the rear ride height by a click or two. This car is very sensitive to ride height changes. It doesn't take a whole lot. A millimeter or 2 millimeters can really change the way it feels. So just try it small, and if it's not safe enough for you, you can always decrease the ride height as well. And the same goes for decreasing it. Very sensitive to the changes in ride height. This car is, at least in my opinion. So anyways, guys, that is the setup for the Audi around the Hungaroring. I'll be back with another setup. Probably going to do the Ferrari still for this track. So um, I hope you guys enjoy this one. Any feedback of it, leave it in the comments below as always. I try and read all the comments and reply to the ones I can for sure. I appreciate all the support, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.